Hello, hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are around the world checking out Cooking in the Raw. I'm your host, Lars Shelby, aka Shell, and it's summertime around here in Wisconsin. And when it's summertime, grilling begins to happen. So I'm going to start doing some videos on meat cutting and grilling and things like that. So today I'm going to first start off with doing butchering or fabricating a whole tenderloin, which is what we have right here. You know, nice big chunk of meat, a lot of fat. So we're going to get this nice and trimmed and cut up so we can get it ready for the grill. So follow me as I take you through this process here. So cleaning, you know, takes a couple of steps here. You know, one of those steps is to get all the fat off. You know, clean off all the fat. Because there's a lot of fat that adheres to this meat. The tenderloin runs along the small of the back here. A very tender piece, you know. So tenderloin meaning less worked muscle. That's what we got here. So I'm going to go through and start trimming off fat. All that we don't need here. Trim off all the chain muscles and fat muscles. Whew, that's a pretty funky piece too. Let me tell you. A lot of fat on here. Sometimes it's easier to just cut it in half if you don't have a large enough board and start trimming it up. You got to make sure your knife is sharp. Most important, you got to have a sharp knife to do this process. A lot of fat on this piece. So cutting off all the chain pieces, all of the fat. Whew, baby. That's a fatty piece. I'm going to trim off this big muscle here. So then that's already gone. Now, I'm not going to get rid of this. Well, this is edible meat here. You can use that for stews or anything such as that. We cut off the chain muscle here. That's what they call the chain here. Get that nice trimmed off. Now you have an actual knife that's used for this. I'm just using my chef knife here at this point. But you have a actual knife that you can use for this process. But I say you use whatever you have at your disposal in your kitchen as far as knives. So I'm going to get all of this sinew off of the meat as well. Now, if you're a little squeamish, now I say have your butcher do this for you. You know, in fact, it's a lot easier if you're not familiar with doing this whole process yourself. As you can see, compared to what it was, I slowly started to take shape here. Slowly begin to take shape. And it's all little by little. So what we want to do here is have a nice cut out piece. You can cut out some nice steaks, or you can simply grill it as is. I like to cut off the butt end here. And all of that's going to go into a stew, something like that. So all the little fat pieces under here, we want to get off. And let the knife do the work. You know, this is a situation which you're forcing to cut. The knife should be doing all the work for you, in this case. No forced cuts here. Now, here's the tricky part. What you have to do is get that knife tip underneath this silver skin, and then you give it a light tilt. You know, pick a nice little section here. You're in the silver skin. Try to get all the way across if you can. And then you tilt the knife up towards the top of the silver skin. And just let the knife do the work. And just start peeling it off. Peeling it off. Okay? I mean, I'm a little rusty, but you want to get some nice, smooth cuts here. Again, sharp knife. Let the knife do all the work. This isn't a forced process here. You know, until you get all of the silver skin off. because that's the tough part. You know, that's going to cause the meat to draw up, you know, when it's cooking, if you're cooking a whole tenderloin here. Now, unless you do this all the time, you can get some really nice smooth cuts. This isn't something I do all the time, but once upon a time, it was part of my daily task, trimming hunks of beef. Let's get this piece here. Now, in the restaurant business, you want to have as little waste as possible when you're trimming your meat, because it all goes to the bottom line. So to make sure you're not wasting any or giving away a lot of chunks of meat in your cleaning process. And that's why a lot of this, you know, I'll separate out later, a lot of this is going to go towards soups and stews or fajita meat or something like that, or maybe grind it up for a nice little burger meat. Hey, a tenderloin burger. So that goes straight on the grill then. Let's get all the fat off. All the pieces of fat. Let's say visible pieces. You don't want to start going down to the muscle tissue here. I mean, this is a muscle. So you don't want to, there's going to be some fat in the muscle. So you don't want to go too far down into the muscle and start peeling away your meat here. You know, every tenderloin is going to be different that you get from the butcher. So you have to treat it accordingly. You can't treat everyone the same. Okay, we'll take off some more of this underneath here. So we get a nice, smooth chunk here. See how that knife just cuts through it like butter? And that's what you want. That's the advantage of having a short knife. We'll cut this down. So that'll make a nice little steak there. Alright? I'm going to use that for stewed meat. I'm only wanting these center pieces myself. You know, because when you cut steaks, you try to get them all cut. It's best to get them all cut the same size. We'll cut this off here. You know, because these won't make, it didn't make a decent steak, it will make a real good steak. So that's like this one, and what was that other one here? This one here. You can't get steaks out of these, the fillets, filet mignon. You can't get some of those out of these, you know, but you want to get the best pieces to make a good steak. That's why the rest of this will go towards ground meat for burgers or meat for stew. And then the rest of this is just simply fat. I mean, you'll clean all this off. You know, in the restaurant business, you clean all the rest of the fat off of this and you use the meat for something, especially this piece right here. That's a nice big chunk of meat there. Okay, so the rest of this is just pretty much just gunk. I got that separated. Now, a couple of things you can do here, as I said. I mean, and you got you a nice little cut here. You can turn it into a steak, or you can cook it whole. So I'm going to go a couple of ways. I'm going to take one piece. I'm going to cut this in half. One piece is going to be cooked whole. We'll take this piece, it's going to be cooked whole. And then this piece I'm going to cut into little medallions. Now I don't have a scale here, so you can go like 4 ounce, 6 ounce medallions. I'm going to go about between 4 or 6 ounce medallions and give you an idea of how that whole process looks. And there you go. There's your fillet. Just a nice simple cut. And look at that nice marbling inside here, you know, so that marbling here, little traces of fat in between the muscles was going to give you a lot of the flavor here. Alright? So we got one steak. Just approximating because I don't have my scale out. 2 steaks. And probably 3 and 4 here. 3 and 4. Not exactly equal. You know, you can pat them down so they be nice and round. You know, nice even cooking. And there you go. So we have 4 steaks and then one whole fillet, which can be cooked whole, or you can butterfly it, stuff it, roll it, and now you have your meat. So this is the first process in getting ready for summer grilling. I hope you learned something just as I did, because it's been a while. This is cooking it raw. But practice makes perfect, so keep practicing yourself, and I'll be showcasing with you more meats to be cooking on the grill. See you next time on Cooking in the Raw.